Hello everyone, we're Guchu, and today we're here to share with you our visit to a local company, Guangyang Motor Company, as known as Kimco. So this is a picture of us visiting the company. And we went visit Guangyang in its headquarters in Kaohsiung last November. It's located in Sanmin district in Kaohsiung. Compared to some of our classmates who went to Nancy, this one is not that far. It took about 20 minutes for us to go there. And our interviewee that day is HR manager there, Mr. Ji. This is a picture of us and Mr. Ji in Guangyang's conference room. Like when we first got there, we were taken directly to the conference room. And the room was quite big, so we had the personnel from Guangyang sitting in one side and we're sitting on the other side. So things were kind of serious in the beginning. And the background of Mr. Ji, he just took the HR position like for four months by the time we visit. But he had the experience of working as a managing manager in Vietnam for 6 years, and in total he's been in Guangyang for like 30 years. And next to him is a
30 years?
Yeah, 30 years. So he's got a lot of experience and stories to share with us. And next to him is Harry from Overseas Department. He's like the interpreter that day because Mr. Ji doesn't speak English. And for me, it's quite interesting to visit this company because Harry and I actually work in the same electronic company for 2 years. So it's quite fun to visit a friend and his current company like this. So today's schedule, first Julia will tell you about the company a little bit, and then we'll move on to the organizational structure. And Bernadette will share you guys the management style in Kimco. Later, Isabella will show you the HR practices in Kimco. And then Anna will tell you some problems we found in the HR practices, and Ronald will go through the suggestions we have. So, Julia.
So I would like briefly to introduce briefly the company. Kimco was founded in 1963 and incorporated with initial capital of 10 million. In 1970, the first plant was completed. In 8 years, it reached the 500,000 motorcycle mark in accumulated production, and already in 20 years, it reached 6 million motorcycle in accumulated production. So it's like the company was growing and growing. We're slogan better than best. The marketing of the company tries to be a respectable global brand. And the name of Kimco represents the firm dedication and responsibility to customers. To ensure Kimco's perpetuity, the company's managers wish to make Kimco a world-class name brand, setting an exemplary model in the building of brand names in the world. And so I would like to show you a short video about the company, how they represent themselves.
Since the establishment of the R&D team in 1978, Kimco has budgeted a great deal of research expenses every year. In addition to recruiting the best talent and professional designers, it has also continued to introduce the most advanced design software and a complete set of R&D equipment to be tirelessly devoted to R&D jobs in the light of the world market demand and global need. Kimco has needlessly engaged in technological exchange overseas and absorbs multifaceted technology. Kimco today not only masters 100% self-productions and R&D, but has also continued to challenge the limits in power R&D and engine performance. Through design and development process of them all, simultaneous industrial management method, innovatively researched patent technology, and consolidated resources of the special development team, Kimco is enabled to satisfy the market demand worldwide. in addition to leading the innovation of each patent design and the upgrading of mechanical function, Kinko tailor-makes the best models that can satisfy each rider from the human view of convenience, safety, and comfort. The advanced R&D capabilities also make Kinko an environmental vanguard in green industry. Kinko has devoted enormous manpower and resources to continue to develop all kinds of electric mobility scooters that lead the environmental standard in the world. To produce perfect Kinko products, at the R&D stage, Kinko has made efforts to further engage in the tough testing and adjustment in simulated road environments, so that each Kinko motorcycle can be fully adapted to every condition. Thus, Kinko always creates the best satisfactory reputation and image of the clients in the world. To be better than best has been the consistent insistence of Kinko. Behind the production achievement reflects Kinko's strict demand for perfection. As a result of this insistence, Kinko's production process is to monitor each production detail and process with the toughest quality control. Through the CIM system, Kinko introduces computers into the production process so that professionals, the computer, and production technology can be combined together, which not only can raise production efficiency, but also produces first-rate quality. In 1993, Kinko expanded its production location into overseas areas.
I think it was enough to get a brief introduction. And now I would like to tell you about their Kinko products and quality awards. Kinko products have got a lot of rewards. For example, in 1994, it was officially accredited for ACO. And in 1996, it was awarded by National Quality Award, as well as he got a lot of rewards from Ministry of Economic Affairs and so on for its excellence of quality. In Taiwan, Kinko Group is represented. It's located in Kaohsiung. It's one office, and its business operations scale is introduced by R&D Center with a capital of 177 million, business turnover of 6.85%, and so on. Another plants in Taiwan. It has 3 plants in Taiwan that produce 300,000 units per year, each one. And internationally, it's represented with overseas brand in China, with another one in South Asia, in such countries like Philippines and Vietnam, and overseas brand in Europe also, in Luxembourg and the United Kingdom, and Technological Alliance partner, also Philippines, Colombia, Malaysia, and so on. It's also important to notice about that Kinko cares about the environment and is environmentally friendly. And as managers think and see to create the working environment they want to create a working environment that there are no environmental pollution and social effects of pollution by personal participation, continual improvement, and obeying statutory and regulatory requirements. So KIMCO really cares and tries to not only to produce products and care about quality, but also about our environment. So in the last part, we represent Benedict.
Okay, thank you.
So after the interview, we got a chance to take a look at this assembly line there. So we got a chance to see how they actually assemble one scooter. But the picture is not allowed, so we can only take picture outside. So these are like Harry said that these scooters will be shipped like that day. So every day they produce about like twice the amount of these scooters and ship it out.
Okay, that's their market share, just to compare them and their competitors, just to show you that KIMCO owns 42% of the whole market of scooters.
In the world or just in Taiwan?
In Taiwan.
In Taiwan.
You can see now KIMCO is right now the biggest brand in local market here. The organizational structure, KIMCO applies hierarchical top-down management, and we can see below the board of directors there are 7 levels and 3 main sectors. This is the managing and selling center, this is the producing and selling center, this is the R&D center. According to, I checked the definition of traditional manufacturing industry in Taiwan, and the definition varies between different government organizations. Some define it by the type of business, and some define it by the developing level. But G consider themselves as the traditional manufacturing industry in Taiwan, and it's been for like 50 years. And managing style changes with recent trends. Later we'll move on to the managing style. And right now, KIMCO approximately have 2,700 employees worldwide, and plus other like distributors, dealers, like 3,800 employees.
What do you mean?
Like
They are employee? No.
they apply. The 27,000 is like the headquarter controls them, and the 3,800 is like the distributors and dealers. Like they also count those numbers. So in total, it will add like.
The distributor not owned by this country, right?
Yeah. But still, like the people, what's the name? Then as a centrical, like headquarter basically controls everything. Like in other countries, they'll send Taiwanese people as the top managers and then hire local talents there. We'll move on to the HR.
Or local talent belong to this 20,000, 27?
27 means directly hired by KIMCO. Yeah.
So what means?
That's what?
27,000 is Taiwanese people, and other amount of people is people like international ones. So 38,000, like 38,000 minus 27,000 is the number of foreign employees, but 27,000 is Taiwanese.
I did not detect the meaning of it.
Overseas, KIMCO has their sales offices. So technically in their sales offices, they employ local employees. But then KIMCO also sends out Taiwanese employees. So technically the sales office that they establish, for example, in Philippines and Vietnam, and those in Europe are managed by the HR or by the managers sent from KIMCO main headquarters. And then in their sales office, the people from that country are being hired. So technically, the difference between 3,800 and 2,700 are the employees in the sales office country. And also, there's like research center. So technically, the people employed in the research center are not Taiwanese, as it is situated in another country. So the local employees there are also counted in the 3,800. The 2,700 only reflects the Taiwanese employees in the 3 factories that they set up here in Taiwan.
Okay, go ahead.
We can see it has many subsidiaries around the world, like the one in USA.
All these subsidiary wholly owned by Kinko, or just this joint venture?
Different country has different types of cooperation. I'll tell more about it in the next slide. Like the one in USA and UK is 100% self-owned. Yeah, and these are the plants they have, like in Vietnam, China, and Philippines. They manufacture scooters there. And I also asked G that
All wholly owned.
some are joint venture, some are joint venture.
Which joint venture?
The Philippines is joint venture.
You mean that
This one.
Philippines? Joint venture?
And I remember, like in China, one is joint venture and the other 2 is one self-owned. So it's
You know, it's very important. If it's the foreign subsidiary, is a wholly owned by HR, right? The headquarters HR is decided. However, this foreign subsidiary is the international joint venture, headquarters HR, and all the decision-making authority for that subsidiary. Right? It's very important for HR practice.
So in domestic market in Taiwan, we've got many cities. So each city has a main distributor, and below it will have many dealers. So basically, the main distributor will control the dealers. And for international markets, some like different corporations. So some are self-owned subsidiaries like USA and UK. Some are joint venture. Some are dealers. Some only do the technical cooperation. And they have sales offices in 90 countries, but not that many plants. We did ask G why, and he said for a company, if they set up a plant there, it costs higher and it will take longer time to get feedback from that country. So it would be just easier if they have a sales office there and do the service. Yeah. And then Benedetto will move on to managing style.
So we wanted to find out which management style Kimco uses for the human resource management. I'm going to now state some facts about the company, which will lead us to the management style of Kimco. So we asked Kimco questions regarding their research and development centers, because referring to their website, they say they only have one, and this is in Taiwan. But Mr. Chi told us that they also have several research and R&D centers also in China. Then we asked them what they think HR involves, and for them it's mainly labor issues, which means if there are problems occurring or the labor relations between employers and employees, that's what human resource management is for Kimco. And he told us that the head office in Taiwan handles the IHRM issues, and local heads deal with the local issues.
So what's the global issue? What is the local issue?
Yeah, basically, at first they go into the matter of the global issue, and then tell the local head deal with it, more or less. But he told us like global issues refer to the head office in Taiwan, and local issues to the local managers. Yeah, it was a little confusing, but sorry?
Go back to check what's the global HR issue, what's the local issue of this company. Okay. It's very
We
important.
will explain you later. It's just
Okay,
like, you
yeah,
know,
The HR organization, as we have heard, is hierarchical, but although it is hierarchical organized, all of the employees were wearing the same clothes, so this indicates that they belong together and everybody's equal. People in the production site were wearing the same uniform as people in the office, and people, even the HR manager was wearing the same uniform, which I can say about Austria is not very common. And their plans and strategies are, at the time, as Ivy said, they are 50 years of manufacturing. They plan some changes, and those changes are to switch to automatic production. So their strategy is that automatic production is cheaper, and they could also focus more on their employees, but that also means that they are going to unemploy a lot of their employees. And they think it will be easier to manage a production site than a lot of people in there, so they would rather train the people in there better to handle the machines than manage a lot of people, because the more people, the more problems, more or less. So the HR manager also told us that you have to have different management styles in different countries. So for example, in Vietnam, he told us, you have to be very strict and precise in your commands and regulations, because otherwise people might not do what you want them to do. So, to conclude, Kimco has to have different management styles for each different location. So they cannot have the same management style, for example, in the Taiwanese R&D center as they have in the Chinese R&D center. And this means, as with the example of Vietnam, they use a rather paternalistic and autocratic management style, which means the manager has overall control over the company and makes the decisions on his own, and the employees are expected to follow and obey the rules. But even so, they will not exploit their employees, but listen to their needs. And in Taiwan, it's similar but a little different. They seem to have a somehow autocratic style as well, but also some influences of a consultative style, which means, again, they make their decisions unilaterally, like switching to an automatic production, but they also try to find the best benefit for their company and for their employees.
So what we were most interested in our field trip was, of course, how does the human resource department of Kimco operate, and what are they doing if it comes to IHRM. So from the questions Mr. G was willing to answer clearly, we could see that the department is using a mixed ethnocentric and region-centric approach, because he said local people should and are managing local people at Kimco, and that's why I thought that's a clear indicator for region-centric. But then again, as we already heard, he said that the orders are coming from the headquarters in Taiwan, which is, on the other hand, a characteristic of an ethnocentric approach. So we asked what kind of training they offer for the employees, and Mr. Chi said that it depends on the department and, of course, of the position of the employee. For example, managers are offered training in leadership style or in the negotiation process, but that differs, of course, from the people who are working at the production line. The training the training wants to help the staff to develop more skills, and maybe that the lack of skills is compensated, and that they are developed into a direction where they can do multitasking, because that leads, of course, to a higher productivity level. But we could not find out much about performance evaluation. We asked what kind of methods they're using, but we didn't get an answer to that. We just got the answer that it that they have, of course, performance evaluation, and it again depends on the department and on the position of the employee, how often and how regularly they are doing it. They also check the performance of the workers in the production line. But here again, they told us that it's very difficult to see the performance of each individual employee there. I'm now describing our impression of the field trip, because it was very, very interesting to see a Taiwanese company from the side. At first, I wanted to say I was surprised. Somehow when we came into the company, into the office, it seemed like everybody knew why we were here. And of course, we looked completely different because they were all dressed in white, so you could see us. It was a little bit disappointing for me that Mr. Chi only got recently promoted to be the HR manager, so he couldn't really. I wanted to hear more stories when it comes to IHRM or HRM, but I don't know if it was the lack of English skills or the translation, or maybe he didn't want to share the stories, but we didn't get much examples.
The Chinese, Mr. G.
Chinese.
Chinese.
Yeah.
But the teacher looked like a foreigner.
Okay.
You spent a lot of years in Vietnam when you did this.
So, and I was really astonished to see that, because he's a successful employee there, that he can't speak English, and that he really needed somebody to translate for him, and that would be not possible in Europe, for example. I cannot imagine a manager, especially if it comes to IHRM, who cannot speak English. Furthermore, it was really funny, as I already said, we were sitting there on the opposite sides, and there were 5 people of Kimco, but only 2 were talking to us, like Mr. G and the one who was translating, so I don't know what the rest was doing here. As Benedict already said, they were all wearing the same clothes, which was, I think it helps for them to identify with Kimco more, and to think that they are all the same. As you already got, not all of our questions were answered to our satisfaction, or were even talked about, which led me to the conclusion that there are maybe things that they don't want to talk about, like the employee wages and stuff like that. So I guess that's a company secret. So overall, I can say that it was really, really interesting to see a Taiwanese company from the inside.
This
And
company, not totally Taiwanese company, is a little bit like a Japanese company. You know, Japanese company. So because I think in the beginning, the company was established by a Japanese company. And company, all the technology was transferred from Japan. So yeah, so for this case, this Japanese company style.
okay.
Everybody,
Wearing
they
the
were
same
uniform.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
they don't like to talk too much. Right?
Yeah,
This is the Japanese style. Some of their R&D head and HR head are students. That is interesting.
Yeah, so I think it was really interesting to get some insight of how the company is operating and see the production.
And now I will explain you more about problems in international HRM, because our class is international HRM and we were very interested in problems. So which problems, we asked the HR manager, which problems do you face currently in international human resource management? So the first problem is high staff turnover. It's not a secret that right now, especially in plants in China, people can switch the company very often because they know that they can find easily any job everywhere they want. And it's a kind of problem for Kimco. So we asked him how many years do they usually stay in Kimco, and he answered average 2 years. It's kind of problem because they train personnel, they put a lot of pressure, they put a lot of effort to educate them how to work for Kimco, but then they just go to another company who can afford them a little bit higher salary. And Mr. explained us that how do they deal with this problem? They offer contracts for production line employees with minimum period of work for 3 years. So only this solution can help to handle with high staff turnover. And another problem comes from China too. Year by year, rise in labor costs rise in China due to governmental policies to increase the level of life of Chinese people. They incent companies to increase salaries by 10 or 15% year by year. And as we see, the salaries, like in 2006, the average salary of production line employee was only 500 renminbi. But nowadays, it's 1,350 at average. So it's more than twice or 4 times growth from the 2006. And we asked, how do you plan to deal with this? Because Chinese government year by year they have an incentive plan to rise the salary. And he tell us that we are going to convert to auto manufacturing. We are going to put more pressure to develop our R&D centers and to find out the way how to produce without people. So that's why we can decrease the number of employees in China. And they plan to decrease personnel by 1% per year. It's kind of interesting. And another problem, of course, is concerned as international human resource management is cultural differences. Culture itself and different habits. So they tell us that in KIMCO there is no cross-cultural trainings, but the problem still exists. For example, for him it was very difficult to manage people in Vietnam because they have different style. If you don't put so much pressure on worker, he will do nothing. You have to go and check every day what does he do. And one of the solutions of this company is to make strict regulations for behavior of Chinese and Vietnamese workers in a written form. So they should know what should they do and what shouldn't they do. It's the only way to manage people there. And another problem, of course, is losses in translation. And they tell us that probably they can hire translators with multicultural background. It's kind of difficult what one people say and what another understand, especially in China and Vietnam. Also, we want to share our experience about which kind of incentives for employees do they use. They use incentive plan depends on worker performance, and it's always short-term program because they cannot arrange a long-term program because they think that if they will arrange a long-term plan for increase their salaries or for bonuses, they will probably do nothing right now because they know that year by year their bonuses will increase depending on their performance. That's why they use only short-term programs. And it was very interesting to mention for overseas assignments. Okay, they hire local manager, then after some period of time they send them abroad, and the salary when he working abroad is higher than the salary of local manager. But after they will come back to the company after the foreign assignment, they will not get higher salary. They will get the same amount of salary as local people. And it's very interesting because I think it's kind of unfair because when you come back from overseas assignment, you have more experience, you have more knowledge, and you have a more profound background. And when you come back and you have the same salary as local people, why should I come back there? It may cause another problem that people who was assigned to work overseas will stay there because they can find another salary and better one. And then Ronald will explain you more about our suggestions for KIMCO, how to improve their international human resource management practices.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Since Anna already discussed the problems that the company faces and the solutions they provided, we still recognize that there are some more suggestions that we can recommend to the KIMCO company in terms of handling the IHRM issue. So technically, their problems leads to two main key points that we want to suggest. One is cross-cultural sensitivity, and the other one is employee retainment. So this is what I would discuss in a while. Under cross-cultural sensitivity, we want a self-awareness training and cultural awareness training. Later on, you will know why we still need a self-awareness training. And for the employee retainment, we will have company team building, career planning, room for development, expectation setting, employee evaluation, and employee rewarding. So, for the cross-cultural training, our group thinks that it is important for a self-awareness training. Why? Because knowing who you are, what you believe in, and how you behave makes you aware of that each person has different personalities, values, and different attitudes. So technically, once you know that you are this kind of person, you're also able to respect other human beings, respect for who they are, how they behave, and what they believe in. And so in having that mutual respect, then you are able to work hand in hand with those locals, even if you actually don't know yet their culture. That's why self-awareness is just step one. And we would also want the company to implement some cultural awareness training. So before, we've already discussed some practices that are done during cultural awareness training, like general country briefing, like the climate, economy, population, etc. Kimco would not have a very hard time in implementing this training, since they only have limited, they only have 5 or 6 countries wherein they send their local managers into. So technically, they could just make a platform that every year when they send out local managers, that's the thing that they can use. And then another thing is that aside from the general country briefing, it is also important for the company country briefing. As Mr. Chi experienced in Vietnam, there's a difference in the culture of the work culture of the employees. So technically, the work culture and the values in the foreign branch of the Kimco company is also important to relay to the local managers that will be sent out. Another one is that they could conduct one-on-one briefing. So technically, a consultant who worked in the country before, when he gets back to the company, he will relate to the next local manager who will go to that country, his experiences and whatever he discovered in that country, and what's the difference between the Taiwanese Kimco company and the foreign Kimco company. And then lastly, of course, it is very important for a language training. As Anna mentioned a while ago, they needed to hire translators, but then the group believes that even just a basic knowledge about their language will really help you to communicate with your local employees, because it's really a big thing for everyone if someone like a foreigner would know your language and would be able to manage and direct you based on the language that you know by heart or that you really understand. So the next issue we would like to address is employee retainment. And since we really don't know the specific reasons why the employees leave in the Kimco company, we researched 7 main reasons why an employee could leave a company. And this is from Branham. First is that employees feel the job or workplace is not what they expected. So technically, the expectations of the employee when he got into the company is different from the reality that he or she faced in the company. Second is there is a mismatch between the job and the person. So maybe the offer is good, that's why the person did want to be employed in Kimco, but then he did not or she did not like the work. Third is that there is too little coaching and feedback. Fourth, there are too few growth and advancement opportunities. 5, employees feel devalued and unrecognized. 6 is that employees feel stressed from overwork and have a work or life imbalance. And 7, lastly, there is a loss of trust and confidence in senior leaders. And with these 7 reasons, we want to present different techniques. For example, 1, we suggest to the Kimco company to conduct exit interviews. We recognize that it is very important for the company to know why their employees leave their company, because as we mentioned, it is very difficult to know the reason why an employee leaves the company and why the employee turnover of the company is very high. So in knowing the reasons why the employees exit, then the Kimco company can improve their HRM practices. Second is that career planning. As a quote I've found in the internet, your best employees, those employees you want to retain, seek frequent opportunities to learn and grow in their careers, knowledge, and skill. So technically, they want a developmental plan for their future. And if Kimco company would be able to relay that career path or future for the employee, then maybe the reasons for the employee to exit the company would be lessened, and therefore employee turnover will be, the percentage of employee turnover will be lesser significantly. Next is that expectation setting. This is just to set clear expectations of employees, establishing and communicating standards of performance, conducting regular interviews, and linking compensation to performance. This one will be discussed more, the compensation part will be discussed more. And then, of course, it is very important for an employee evaluation just to give feedback of whatever the employee is doing well or bad. But then, it is very important to praise it. To praise in public. It's a different thing when you praise in public and you praise in private. So it gives a more boost in the morale of the person if he is praised in public. Conversely, deliver constructive criticisms in private, since no one wants to be dressed down in front of co-workers. And of course, employee rewarding. This is one, monetary rewards is one of the basic reward that you can give to an employee for his job well done. So first, they could employ verbal communication, like always saying thank you. Even just a simple thank you would make a difference in how the employees feel. Second is monetary reward, like commissions and bonuses. Like they only employ 3% increase in the short term of the employee's income, but then we think that if the performance is really satisfactory, then the company should share their income to their employees. And third, they could also have employee of the month awards, because in the Philippines that's a very popular practice, because since there are a lot of employees waiting there to be hired, companies really try their best to retain their good employees, and one of their practices is having employee of the month. So that's all for the Kimco presentation of our group. The group is now ready to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions from you? Okay, thank you. Good preparation and presentation. I don't have a question for you, but I want to supplement some information for you. No? Kimco company actually. Oh, yeah.
Students from this group or people?
But we saw the plan, they show us the manufacturing line, the production line, how to assemble scooter for local market. They didn't show us the production line for foreign market, but they just show us the models, the first floor, and it was very interesting.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that sounds.
Yeah. What's also surprising when we entered the factory is that they don't only manufacture Kimco brand, like the Kimco and the scooters. They also manufacture like Kawasaki motorcycles. Yeah. So we didn't get the chance why did they manufacture such motorcycles wherein they're the Kimco company. But I think it's being outsourced to. Yeah, other companies would want their motorcycles to be built in the Kimco factories and be branded differently.
Thank you. Yeah. We talk about this international human resource management. First, we need to know what's the strengths and weakness of this company in the market, global market, right? And if you check the company's profile, you know that the companies are around company. So Kawasaki founder. It's a joint venture in Taiwan. But however, after 20 years, Japanese ownership, they give way to Taiwan. And also now Kimco become a Taiwanese company. However, most of their manager, executive manager, they have been trained by Japanese. So this is a very Japanese style company. And also, you know, if you have more ideas about Japanese company, you know that Japanese company strength is their manufacturing and their R&D, their technology, but not information marketing. You know, so if you go to check this company, you can know that their strength in global market is their manufacturing and their technology, R&D. You know. However, they cannot very successful expansion in global market because they don't know how to train their foreign talent to the market. They don't have this kind of knowledge. So in this situation, maybe they were leveraging the local distributor, local agent to the local market. Right? So this you can now, so you can know why this company go abroad and in some subsidiary, right? They fortunately they don't have much international market knowledge. Okay, so, and by the way, you talk about the turnover rate. This employee turnover rate high in China. I don't think the company can improve its situation. Because it's not only the specific company's issue, it's the whole China's issue. Right? Also, when you talk about the wage of the local employee in China, I think in 2009, before 2009, the local employee we got their salary for 1,000 or more, 12. However, from 2009, China government they asked all these foreign companies to increase the salary of local companies. So in this situation, some state-owned companies, some Chinese companies like Macau, they increased the local employees' salary. So in this situation, right, the other company should increase it, right? Or you cannot hire, you cannot retain the local employee, right? Okay, now please stay here because the secretary office come here with teaching assessment. So please stay here, and then after you finish this assessment, then you can take a short break.